this project we're going to use a combination of the Mechanical Monster project and the image inserts to make a cyborg body part. Make sure you're working at a 300 pixels per inch resolution, and just go ahead and place whatever picture you want to use in here. I'm doing place embedded. So I've got my picture in here, it's sideways, so let's go ahead and fix that. Pictures that work better for this project are going to be where you have a specific body part, such as a hand or an arm or a leg that's very defined and easy to see, such as my hand and arm here. So what I'm going to do now is start finding pieces to create my bones, my muscles, my every part of my hand and arm that we're seeing there. So just like with a lot of these other projects, we're going to get our stuff and just get things isolated. So I just used the magic wand tool to knock out that background and then erased. I'm not really too worried about making permanent edits here. I'm just getting rid of background so that I can go ahead and do a destructive edit on each of these by just using that magic wand tool, clicking on the background, and hitting backspace. So let's go ahead and gather up a few things. A couple things to note here with the magic wand tool. Sometimes I have it turned to contiguous, where it's only getting touching pixels, and sometimes I have contiguous unchecked, which would be gathering all of the similar colored pixels. So just keep that in mind, that changing that and the sensitivity could help. Here I'm using the spot heal tool to get rid of some of this watermark. And another thing I should point out that I just did there is naming your layers is a very good idea for this project, because you will end up with a lot of them. Alright, and with that, I believe I now have enough parts to start putting something together. I'll probably gather a few more things as I go along, but you'll notice that I'm making copies of each thing and then rotating them, resizing them, do whatever it is that I need to do to get them in the position I want. Now you'll also notice I do kind of go back and forth getting some new parts. I'll repurpose some parts. I might erase some things and not others, and that's entirely up to you how you want to do this as far as how you're using your parts. My main requirement for this project is that there should be some logic to how you're putting this thing together. It should make sense by either following your bones or your muscles. Something should be the guiding way that you're choosing these parts for how they're going to go. For instance, on mine, I'm considering where my forearm and like my shoulder bones, all wrist bones, all of these things, I'm trying to make mechanical equivalents of them. Now do remember, you can also do things like change colors and light on individual objects. For example, this particular gear is very dark compared to everything else, so that's something I'm going to go back and fix a little bit later once I decide that I don't like it there and I want to use it somewhere else. Let's add a few more things in here. Notice that I've been using edit, transform, and distort in a few places here, so I could use the same parts but create them at sort of different angles. That's very important for trying to get things to look more like they belong in a certain area. So again, that was under edit and transform, and I was just using distort. gotten to a part with this where I'm pretty satisfied with how filled up I've got this, where I have several layers of parts on top of each other. So I'm just going to take all of my extra parts here and group them up into a folder in case I decide I want to go back and add anything else. So notice I just selected all those layers and then hit the little folder button at the bottom of the layers panel to group them all in there. It did accidentally grab a couple other things, so I just dragged those layers out of there. So there's all my parts, and I just turned that layer off. And now I'm going to get all of the layers of my arm and put them together in a folder as well. Now notice here that I can put my folder in a layer mask, so that means that all of these layers will be layer masked together at the same time. No need for me to go in and address them individually. That's very important because that is something I've not showed you all before. So I'm on a layer mask right now that's affecting all of these layers without me actually having to merge all of them together. So I'm able to fix things like where I have stuff in front of the skull, where my sleeve was in the wrong place, and anything else that's not where it should be. The next step now is just like from image inserts, where I've got a new layer on top of everything, and I'm going to make a selection in the shape of my arm. I'm just going to use the quick select tool because it's going to do a pretty good job grabbing my arm. Obviously you have many ways you can select something. And now on a brand new layer, I'm picking up colors from my arm itself to get those shadows that are being used in the particular lighting of this picture, and just painting them on here, because what I'm going to do is take these highlights and shadows that I'm painting here and put them on top of my mechanical parts so that my mechanical parts appear to have the similar lighting that is on the actual picture. So again, I'm just picking up colors from the actual image there, and I'm going to try out soft light. That looked like it worked pretty well. There might be others depending on your type of picture that may work better. It's sort of up to you how you want to do that. Now I'm using some adjustment layers to just play with some basic brightness and contrast. I'm going to go back on that layer where I did all that painting and just do a little bit more editing with that. This is really where you kind of have to use your instincts that you should have at this point from doing this much Photoshop to know what you need to do to make these things look better or worse. For example, I just noticed that my mechanical arm is much bigger than my actual arm, so I needed to go back in there and kind of paint that in some. So use your instincts as far as what you should do to make this entire thing look better. Thing I'm going to do here is take all of my layers of my mechanical arm and merge them together and make a selection in that shape, and then duplicate it, which I should have done in the first place there. There we go. So I've duplicated it, and now I'm going to go after I've duplicated it and add some grain to this so that it's as grainy as my picture. So normally you'd go to filter, noise, and then add noise, and I already did that. I just did not include the steps of me doing it there, but now you can see that there's a distinct graininess to the picture that was not there before that kind of helps the whole thing look better together. Finally, we're going to just export this as a JPEG, and that's how you're going to turn in this project.